of the 250 class. With 3 races left, things are really heating up in the 125 series. Round 10 from Millville, Minnesota is next on Speed World. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Spring Creek Motocross Park in Millville, Minnesota for round 10 of the AMA Chevy Trucks U.S. Motocross Championship. Art Ekman along with David Bailey and Davey Coombs to bring you the action on a beautiful day here in Minnesota. The weather conditions are ideal for racing. 75 degrees, the humidity only 40%. Expecting a near capacity crowd, the fans are still filing in. Now let's get caught up on the season thus far. In the 250 class, the defending champion Ricky Carmichael continues to have the upper hand, consistently finishing in the top 2. He took the overall at Troy with a 1-2 finish. But at Washougal, it was a different story. Carmichael's closest challenger, Kevin Windham, put on an inspiring performance, sweeping round 9 and, more importantly, shifting momentum no matter how briefly away from RC. However, Carmichael sits comfortably in first with a 42-point cushion. The real question, can RC extinguish any momentum Windham is carrying? In contrast, the 125 division points race is a back-and-forth battle. White Brown enters Millville with a slim 5-point margin over rival Grant Langston. Defending champion Travis Pastrana, after a concussion in Moto 2 at Unadilla, found himself in a downward spiral, hitting his head again at Washougal. Let's go now to Davey Coombs. Davey.
Down here on the starting gate, getting ready for the first 125 moto. The hottest rider on the circuit, Mike Brown, once again the first guy to the starting gate. But this time he brought a friend with him. Riding partner Ricky Carmichael came down, and they talked about where to start. Brown was going to start out in the middle. RC suggested the far inside, so that's what Mike Brown's going to do. Keep an eye on it. Brown coming up on the inside here on the start.
Thanks for the insight, Davey. As Michael Brown, we mentioned earlier, taking over the points lead here on the Suzuki 125-point standings after 9 rounds. Big question is, can Travis Pastrana get back into the points race? And as we look at the entire field now in the starting grid with Brown, Langston, Pastrana, and Larry Ward, the top 4 in the points race, the question is, how effective will Mike Brown be today, who apparently has the flu, David Bailey, and then Travis Pastrana also under the weather, not feeling well. He's riding with a cast on his foot.
That does open things up for Grant Langston, who I expected to do well on this racetrack. Mike Brown has been hot, but he hasn't had any problems lately. Today he'll have a problem fighting that cold, or the flu, I think is what it is. So this was a real opportunity for Langston and Travis to get healthy and fight Brown, but it doesn't look like Travis is going to be 100% today.
Millville was a favorite track of many riders. We will have 7 riders at either the 250 or 125 gate this afternoon who have previously won races here at Millville. And my partner, David Bailey, by golly, you picked off 2 500s in a row back in the 80s. 5
out of 6 motos, not bad. One of my favorite tracks, and mostly because of the dirt and the hills. Great layout for spectators and the riders.
32nd board is up. That's Pastrana right next to the Scott Doghouse. Next to him is Ernesto Fonseca, Yamaha of Troy. Another Yamaha of Troy rider, Ramsey, right next to Brown on the inside of the track. We're set to go for the first moto of the 125's underway. Whoa, look out, Nathan. He got the jump on Brown anyway, but it's Brock Sellards on the KTM getting the whole shot. Followed by Fonseca. Damon Huffman also in there. Whoa, Baraki and Velaldi. Velaldi is down in that first turn. Assistance right on the scene. It's Brock Sellards, number 18 on the KTM. Fonseca, though, is right there, number 25 on the 4-stroke. Good start.
And they're heading into one of the most unique sections on the national circuit, the big sand whoops here at Millville. This is where it takes all strength and guts to get through there fast.
The 125s looks like, David, they're choosing to leap several rather than stay on top of those sandy whoops.
Sellards ruined his momentum a little bit on the outside. Looks like Fonseca had that Supercross style working for him. He gets around.
We saw Pastrana in those whoops in about 10th. Fonseca the leader. Langston just getting by his teammate Brock Sellards, moving into second place. The battle lines are drawn. Fonseca, number 25. Grant Langston, number 111. The former 125 World GP champion trying to pick off a U.S. national title in the 125s. Let's go to Davey. Davey.
Andrew, it looks like Grant's taking an immediate liking to this track.
Yeah, Grant likes this kind of track, particularly because it's a little bit sandy, and living in Holland it was pretty sandy. With the hills and everything, he's pretty good on the brakes, and he's carrying a lot of corner speed up the hills, which is helping because the four-strokes are also really fast up the hills.
It's obvious Grant Langston is out to take advantage of the situation with Mike Brown not up near the front right now. And the former GP champion would like to get that points lead back that he had after the first 3 rounds of action and taking those first 4 motos of the season. A spectacular premiere in the U.S. for the former GP champion.
He has a real opportunity right here to do just that, or try to get some points on both Brown and Travis, who didn't get good starts. Both of them are somewhere right around 10th. I think Brown's even further back. Neither one of them feeling well today. This is a great eye. They can smell it right now. They can see the championship coming back into their hands and hopefully stay in there.
Brown with Pro Circuit, the winner of many titles. KTM, it would be their first 125 American Motocross Championship should Grant Langston pull it out this year. But it looks like this kind of points battle will once again go down to the final race of the season. Fonseca looking back. Grant Langston has the edge on the inside. Grant Langston, far to far we go. Can he do it? Langston, our new leader.
Hard to say what Fonseca was thinking there. He looked right back and then just went wide. The only thing I can figure is he didn't want to have to hold him off anymore. Maybe he wants to learn Langston's lines a little bit.
3 different leaders in the early going of the 125 first moto. We'll be right back.
Tuesday at 7 and 7:30 on ESPN.
Chevy Trucks AMA Motocross is brought to you by Chevy Trucks, the most dependable, long-lasting trucks on the road. And by Honda, the company that defines performance in motorcycles, ATVs, and scooters. Welcome back to Millville. Our opening moto as Travis Pastrana courageously has moved up from about 10th position. You see it here. Fonseca in second, number 25. Then you got Brock Sellers. Then Roderick Tane, the Frenchman. There's Ward battling with Pastrana. Pastrana makes the pass on Larry Ward. Brown is at the tail end of this freight train somewhere.
Tane's momentum got ruined about halfway through that stand move section, so Travis picks up 2 spots at once. And he's got Fonseca in his sights. For now, Langston's checked out, but you can see Fonseca's right there.
Boy, look at that sandy track. Famous here at Millville. Another look at the whoops.
See Tane get all mixed up right there. He's got to ruin his momentum. Both Ward and Travis go by, but look at Travis. A little bit more body English to keep that wheel on the ground. He loves those sections.
The real question with Travis Pastrana right now is he takes on Brock Sellers and makes the pass. Travis Pastrana has moved into third. I was going to say the real question now would be endurance, David.
Well, unfortunately, since Washougal, he's been in a cast most of the time. So that was a golden opportunity for him to get healthy, and he wasn't able to take advantage of it. And he's even got a cast right now in that boot. Here's a look at the racetrack, which is completely changed. Up in the top middle section there, they reworked it quite a bit. But first, let's take a look at the sand whoop section over here with Davey Coombs. He's going to take us through there with the helmet camera.
Long, wide straightaway. About 4th gear. Coming to the bottom here. See the sandstone pile. Whoa! See the sandstone pile up already. Over the tabletop. They're just pulling you because look what's next. Here's what gets hard. The Millville whoops. That's about the best I want to do this. They're starting to get beat down a little bit. But man, they are hard.
You can see that was done earlier this morning, and there was a lot more shade on the racetrack. These guys have much better vision now of the best line out there.
Really know how tough it is when Davey doesn't say anything through those whoops, too. Roderick Tane, number 32 on the Team Suzuki. After an earlier season injury, he's come back strong here in the road. Mitch Payton, the guru of Pro Circuit Kawasaki, looks rather concerned right now, David.
Yeah, that's not relaxed. He's checking the watch, looking at what the mechanics are going to put on the board. And there's Brown right there chasing Tane. If Brown stays where he is, he'll lose that points lead. So I can understand the concern on Payton's face. That
relationship between Brown and Payton goes all the way back to 1989. And then a lot of people don't remember, but Brown was signed with Jeremy McGrath for Team Pete a couple of years after that. I believe that was 1992.
Around the times that Jeremy Buell and Brian Swink, those guys, yeah. I had forgotten about that.
Buddy Anthony later was on that Team Pete team as well, taking second behind Jeremy, you might remember, in the 125 Supercross Wars.
Watch Brown through the sand section. Takes a different line at the entrance, tries to get up a little bit more speed.
Alan Bolin back in action, as we saw in the field summary there. Tane having some trouble in the ropes. Here goes Brown.
And he finally gets by Tane. He's still got Ward up there, and it wasn't too many laps ago that Brown was right with Travis, but Travis moved his way right through the field in that whoop section, and Brown is starting to figure that line out a little bit better now.
Lots of laps, lots of time remaining, though, for Mike Brown to move up through the group.
Vision, too. That's wet sand, and if you stay behind a guy for even a corner sometimes, you get roosted. You've got to pull a tear off and try to figure out, let's see, should I pull that now or should I wait a little bit longer till I get past this guy and pull it? Because you can only put on so many.
Ward, the winner at Redbud this year.
All this stuff up in here is brand new. They've trimmed the trees up. Really done a fantastic job of making this track new for the riders and still good for the spectators.
Grant Langston starting to pull away from Fonseca is our leader.
Wait, do you have all the ESPN networks?
Join us for this week's Kawasaki bike set from Millville, split by our Pro Circuit motocross guru, Mitch Payton. Mitch, what do you have going for the team this week?
This weekend, because of the sand wash section and some of the loose dirt on our bikes, probably the most important thing we can do is gearing selection and picking the right tires. The track has like a section of the sand wash and the start being real deep that we need good traction out of the tire. So we kind of look for a combination of a hard pack tire and a sand tire. So you need something for both. And then the gearing, because of the uphill and the sand wash, there's a lot of time to be made or lost in there. So it's real important to have the right gearing for the track.
All right. Well, we'll see how it works out. Mitch Payton's got the points lead with Mike Brown, and that's this week's Kawasaki bike setup.
Insight from the pits earlier with Racer X's Davey Combs as we get back to the action here in our first Moto 125 action at Millville. Fonseca now starting to feel a little bit of heat from Travis Pastrana. Fonseca, as you see there, in second place. Grant Langston has started to check out. So he'll move up the point standing.
And Travis took a big look over his shoulder on that jump back there. Probably wondering where Brown is, wondering what the points look like. He doesn't seem to be staying quite as close to Fonseca right now as he was. He caught him pretty quick. And now it looks like he's just kind of taking a second wind. He's wondering if anybody back there is catching him, if he can afford to take this little breather right here.
For those of you just tuning in, he's riding with a cast on his foot, and that prevented him from training during the two-weekend break. And look out.
He just caught that foot in the ground right there.
A tough but courageous situation for Travis Pastrana.
Yeah, he's definitely taken his... He's not as intense as he was a lap or two ago. But he doesn't have any pressure from behind, so I don't think he really needs to be that worried right now.
Pastrana with 2 wins, 5 podiums on the air. Look at this. He's slowing down. He's leaving the track. Travis Pastrana is leaving the track. Davey, you're inside.
Guys, check it out. Look here. Amazing development. Travis Pastrana started to slow down on that lap. He just turned around and rode off the racetrack. Didn't even come out of the mechanics area. Pastrana pulls out. What a shot.
There was a pre-race meeting with team manager Roger DeCoster if this should happen. Now the question is not will he race in the second moto, but will he come back for the rest of the season?
Well, first of all, I applaud him for pulling off if he's worried about his safety. You know, I think that the concern right now is, and what the meeting was about, is that he's not 100% coming into this race. And he's been racing like that, not 100%. He smacked his head on the ground at Unadilla and again at Washougal. You can't afford another one of those. I mean, the doctor's saying if you hit your head like that again in the next 6 months, you got pulling out of a race could at least be a problem.
Well, only Travis really knows if he's doing the right thing, and I applaud that for sure. Mike Brown trying to make a move on Brock Sellers. Let's go back down to Davey Combs.
Mike, I got to tell you, Brock's put himself right in the middle of all this drama. What a battle with Mike Brown.
Yeah, you know, he's riding really good. It seems, you know, I don't think he's holding him up. I think Brock's riding the back half of the track a lot better than Mike, and Mike's riding this part better. He seems to catch him, but Brock's really riding good.
Do you think he's inspired by the fact that he might be able to help his teammate Grant Langston in this championship picture?
Yeah, you know, him and Brock, he's been training with Grant the last 2 weeks, you know, and I think it's picked Brock's pace up too. It's helped him a lot. He knows Grant's out front, you know. I don't think he's blocking Brownie. I think he's just trying to beat him.
I tell you, the way they're riding, they should keep riding together. They look awful fast this week compared to the last couple races.
Yeah, actually, Grant's living at Brock's house for the rest of the races, so hopefully it'll pay off. You know, maybe Brock can get one of these wins.
Brock with 2 wins career-wise in 125 motocross at Troy last year, and Washougal in '99 was his very first victory. There you see the KTM crew waving towels at Brock Sellers to stay in front of Mike Brown. But Mike Brown is a tenacious rider, and with the points battle on the line, look out. Moto 1, 125's number 111. Grant Langston trying to become the first foreigner to ever win in 27 years the 125 National Motocross Championship in America. The white flag was out, and he's looking real confident right there.
Well, he was a little cocky coming into this race, kind of like he was about Southwick. He's backing it up.
Let's check in with Davey Combs.
Well, Andrew, a huge development. Pastrana's out. Are you going to let Grant know?
You know, at this stage of the game, Brian has to focus on just making as many points. So that means winning every race that he goes out and rides. And that's the only way he's going to win the championship, by just going out there and giving 110%. We're not really interested in who's behind us at this stage of the game.
And even with Pastrana out, you still got Brown.
Yeah, it would have been nice for Travis to have stayed in the race because he's more points behind than Brown is to us. But it's unfortunate. I think maybe it's something to do with the head because he was looking good and then he just pulled off. I didn't see him go down or anything.
Grant Langston's legend started, of course, in Europe, and then last year winning the 125 GP World Championship. But his legend in the U.S. started with him pointing to the crowd, something similar to what we've seen here on the final lap, and then falling down, losing that Supercross race that he had a big lead in. But he's come back to prove what a champion he can be.
He can really cruise this last lap, too. When you come into a race talking about how you're going to win it, and you don't, you look pretty stupid. So I think part of the celebration right here is just backing up what he said, Art.
He's got a little Muhammad Ali in him. The young lad from South Africa, overjoyed that he has such a big lead here on the final lap.
This should put him in the points lead. I don't think he knows about Travis just yet. I'm sure he knows that Travis is nowhere near him, and that's good news as well in terms of points.
This is just creating an even bigger rivalry with Michael Brown. It started, of course, in Europe, with Brown also on the GP circuit, taking 10 moto wins that year, despite the fact that, whoa, Shea Bentley. It looks like a leg for Shea Bentley. This kid has been riddled throughout his entire career with injuries.
Oh, he's in pain. It looks like his right leg down below the knees where he's pointing.
He missed the entire Supercross season, the first 6 races of the motocross season. And in fact, he had to survive an injury during the year he won the West 125 Supercross Championship.
And this is the last lap. There goes John Bodner with the CCI shirt on. He's the guy that you want to see when you're in this predicament. Langston should be coming around. What a bad break. The final lap, and Shea goes down.
Shea trying to get back into tip-top shape. to prove his worth to that Pro Circuit Kawasaki team. They're slowing the bikes down coming over that hill. Grant Langston will be our winner of the first moto here at Millville. Fonseca is still in second place. Brown is in third. And to clear up that statement I started earlier, Brown had 5 wins the year that Grant Langston won the GP title. Mechanicals took him out of the points race, put him back to third. Here it's Langston, Fonseca, and Brown, our top 3. Davey Coombs is with our winner.
Well, Grant, that was a huge moto for you and also for the whole championship picture. You win Pastrana DNFs.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a 2-week break now, and you know, I got the bike set up pretty good. The engine's running well, and did a lot of suspension testing, and also they gave me a little break to get my shoulder sorted out, and I felt good. And I said to everyone on the team, I'm going to come here, and I won't be happy unless I walk away with 2 moto wins.
Well, you're halfway there. What about Pastrana? What did you think when you got the signal from your mechanic that he was out?
I didn't see the signal, but you know, I think lately he seems to be having a bit of bad luck and struggling, and you know, basically it seems like it's down to me and Mike, and as long as I'm out front, and I think I have the points lead now, so that's what matters.
Actually, I think right now you're tied going into the second moto. You pulled up 5 points on Mike, all tied up.
Yeah, I mean, that makes it real close now, and 5 motos left, and it's anyone's race, and I think if I can pull off the win for the team, that'll be great.
Ernesto Fonseca holding on to second place, ties him with the best moto performance of the year when he took a second overall as well back at Troy. Fonseca looking strong through that whoop section. Davey?
Ernesto, that was an amazing ride. You was held up front the whole time, and you're in the middle of some high drama. That was Mike Brown coming.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to pick up my pace, but a couple lappers kind of messed me up a little bit there towards the end, but I felt great. My bike was working good, and Mike was definitely coming in strong.
How do you feel going into the second moto? You don't have the pressure of the championship like these other guys do. Can you let it all hang out?
Yeah, of course. I think that's my main goal. I haven't got a national win yet, so I'm working on it, and I think today might be the day. I mean, second on the first moto might be pretty good for the second.
Good ride, Ernesto.
Thanks.
One of the biggest stories in the 125 motocross American season is Travis Pastrana. And the fact that here at Millville, he pulls out of the first moto. Let's get more information from Davey.
Thanks. I caught up with Roger DeCosta on the way back to the pits. Roger, any word on what happened to your rider, Travis Pastrana?
Well, I'm afraid we were worried about that this could happen. You know, he talked to us this morning. He felt that he did not have maybe the energy that it was going to be needed, and I told him to go out and ride as good as he can and see how things go, you know, and he had the speed, you know. He started from 8th and came back to 3rd pretty quick, and was in the process of trying to pass for 2nd, and he started making a couple of mistakes, and, you know, we had discussed if he started making mistakes to put off, and that's what he did. So,
are we going to see Travis in the second moto?
No, probably won't see Travis anymore this year.
Does that include Team USA for the designations?
Yeah.
Thanks, Roger.
Believe it or not, this is a parade or practice lap for Ricky Carmichael just prior to the first moto of 250 action. Carmichael and gang coming up next. Art Ekman, David Bailey, Davey Coombs coming to you from Millville, Minnesota. It's time now for the 250s to get to the line for their first moto. That's Kevin Windham, his 5th career 250 motocross victory coming at Washougal. Ali Seymour, along with Roger DeCosta from the Suzuki team. A great 1-1 moto sweep.
And he's had a few weeks to savor that win, and what really impressed me about it for Kevin was the fact that he came from behind both times to outrun Carmichael. So his mental edge right now may be a little higher than it's been.
Carmichael with a 42-point lead over Windham. The real battle is for 3rd in the points between Ferry and Larocco. Larocco going to the 4-stroke this week. Let's go to Dave.
What you're looking at right now is the spot we thought Ricky Carmichael would take for the start of the first 250 moto. After all, that's where he told Mike Brown to start. Instead, after Ricky saw Brown get shut out, he moves all the way out in the middle of the gate. So Carmichael, with the #1 pick, takes the middle spot, not what he told Mike Brown to do.
Oh, that crafty Ricky Carmichael as he leads off our Suzuki starting grid. with Kevin Windham, Tim Ferry, and Mike LaRocco. We've had a lot of winners here at Millville. LaRocco won 3 125 races in a row here at Millville. And Ricky Carmichael, of course, has won 2 125s and a 250. That 250 last year. The only year he hasn't won here was 1999, where he went 10-1 in the 2 motos.
You know, getting back on that starting choice, Carmichael's is a little bit more thinking offensive. That inside starting position, that's more defensive. That's like saying, okay, well, if I don't get a good jump, at least I'm on the inside to the first corner. So I think Brown should have started where Carmichael is now.
30-second board is up. When it goes sideways, 5 to 10 seconds, the gate will drop for our first 250 moto from Millville, Minnesota. Carmichael.
Racking up the X's.
Boy, is he ever. He took a second in Washougal with a 2-2 to break a string of 5 consecutive overall victories. Tortelli to his right. Who will get the jump? They're underway. John Dowd of the KTM gets the whole shot. Carmichael's right there. So is Ferry, Raynard, Milliman, Windham, Dowd, LaRocco, all with good starts.
Starts are so exciting, especially here at this track. Also, Glenn Hell in a fast start. But that first corner, these guys barely back out of it. Carmichael sandwiches himself between the 2 4-strokes. He's getting everything he can get out of that 250.
Back in 1994, John Dowd took the 250 race here. He's in a battle with Ricky Carmichael. Carmichael, beautiful timing. Dowd having trouble. Ferry moves into second in front of Dowd.
Carmichael reaching right up to clear that vision. They put on a lot of tear-offs just in case they don't get a good start. But the more you stack on, the more milky it is to look through that lens. So he gets rid of a couple right there.
Ricky Carmichael taking the lead quickly here in the opening moto. And Tim Ferry is right there. Look at the fishtail. Ferry holding on.
Yeah, you lean into that corner. The back end rebounds the other way. He saved it nice. That takes a lot of strength to get yourself out of that.
Carmichael looking so fast.
And relaxed. Just whips the back end out there, change the direction in the air. It actually is effective to do that, but looks pretty cool too. Windham got his work cut out for him.
Whoa, Carmichael. A tough landing, but he holds on. And those 2 riders now pulling away from the rest of the pack.
Big braking bumps coming all the way down those hills. A lot of guys were favoring the right side. He's going over to the left looking for a smooth line. He didn't find it.
Interesting watching that back fender and the suspension of Carmichael's bike.
Yeah, he runs the rear end really soft in a slow rebound, probably a little slower here because of the sand sections. You want that rear wheel to come back slow so it doesn't kick the back end around. I always ran my rear end a little slower on the sand tracks, and slower than most of the other guys on the team everywhere else. Ricky's running slower than I used to. I don't think it would even really work that well unless you go that fast. You've got to go that fast to really feel the benefit of the way he sets his bike up. Same with McGrath.
Raynard in 3rd place. Robbie Raynard took a 125 victory here in 95.
There's LaRocco making a different sound.
That is interesting, too. LaRocco on that CR 450F, as Ryan Hughes has decided not to run the rest of the season. Here comes Windham attacking John Dowd. But it's Ferry and Carmichael, the Floridians, who love that sand out in front.
Attention. The preceding space was a demonstration of the KX domination system. In the event of an actual race, it would have been followed by the roaring crowd and the new champ holding an oversized cardboard check. For further instructions, contact your Kawasaki dealer. Somebody's about to ride off with a great deal on a Kawasaki. What are you going to do on your summer vacation?
Chevy Trucks AMA Motocross is brought to you by Yamaha, makers of fine motorcycles and ATVs. Nobody's more in tune with motorsports than Yamaha. Back in Millville, Minnesota, our leader in the first 250 moto is Ricky Carmichael with Ferry right behind him. But the real battle is right here. John Dowd and Kevin Windham. Dowd in 5th place. Kevin Windham trying desperately to move up quickly so Carmichael and Ferry don't get too much of an edge. Already Carmichael with a little edge on Ferry.
And he changed his line from the first lap. He went over where Villeman's going right there, hit a few bumps on the way down that hill. Now he's going over to the right where Kevin is. Looks like he's going to be able to make that stick.
Who's going to break last? Kevin Windham slips in front of John Dowd.
He had to plan that. We're back in the corner up to the top. Go into the shade right there. He got a good run out of there and was able to just force Dowd into having to back off there.
That's LaRocco and back at Dowd now. And that's got to be a new experience for Mike. Changing bikes in the middle of the stream, you might say.
Yeah, I talked to Hughes a little bit when he was testing that thing. He said that both LaRocco and Tortelli rode the bike. But, you know, they weren't too crazy about it just yet. It takes them getting used to. You got to use a different gear. You got to set up your suspension a little bit different. So it'll take Mike a little while. Plus, he didn't get that much time on it coming into this race. Only a few motos, I think.
Number 17, Robbie Raynard, being pursued by David Villeman. Raynard in 3rd. That's one of his best starts of the whole year. His best moto finish was a 7th at Redbud. Robbie likes this track, though, as he proved winning that 125 race here a few years ago. Carmichael, Ferry, Raynard, Villeman, and Kevin Windham are top 5 on that field summary as we go down the list. Tortelli in good position behind LaRocco.
Well, Villeman had that dialed.
Did he ever?
All it took was a little mistake by Raynard there, getting sideways, had to back out of it some, and then that beautiful timing that Villeman displays from time to time really worked there.
Villeman put it all together at Mount Morris, taking advantage of some wet conditions as well for a victory. He's coming off 2 5th-place finishes, but certainly would like to improve that before the season's over with.
Well, Villeman hit that perfect. As soon as he landed off that jump coming out of the corner, he was wide open on the power.
Let's check in with Davey Combs. Davey, what do you have in the mechanics area?
Robert, that was an excellent start for Robbie. Yeah, that's the best one I've seen for a while. I was real happy to see it.
It seems like he does really well at this track. When he was on a 125, the rougher it was, it seemed like the better it was for Robbie.
Yeah, he really likes the track. The up and down the hills is real good for him.
What does he need to do to break back into the top 5 like we're used to seeing him?
Start believing in himself.
That's a good point. You know, sometimes your dad, you got to listen, and there's no coincidence as far as I'm concerned, and the fact that that's the best start he's gotten in a while. This is a track where Raynard believes in himself more. He wants that start.
Robbie, one of the original bonus babies coming out of the amateur ranks, where the money was getting up there pretty good for untried riders coming into the professional ranks.
And check out the lineup behind him. You know, that's some pretty fast company, and Robbie's not holding up the show here. He's faster on this racetrack. I think the soil is pretty similar to what he rides on at home, too. That helps.
Out of the state of Oklahoma. That's Windham, LaRocco, and Tortelli behind Raynard.
Tortelli's going okay.
What a hard luck season for that kid.
I would change that number. Just anything but 13. I mean, just have a ceremony, get rid of that, be like number 2013, anything but that.
He's had some nasty crashes, unlucky breaks with the bike. Here's Mr. Consistency, Mike LaRocco. In the last 10 years, he's been in the top 7 points. All 10 years. Here's the battle forming up right now. Kevin Windham starting to make a move on Raynard on the inside. Kevin Windham in the whoops. We've seen a lot of passing there. Raynard doesn't want to give it up. Kevin's got the inside move in the corner. Check one for Windham, and here comes LaRocco.
Well, I can understand Windham getting around Raynard there, but it looked like Robbie made it a little easier for LaRocco to get through. And, you know, I don't always agree with the strategy of letting somebody by learn their lines, but it kind of looked like that was what was happening there. As long as he stays with him, then it's a good plan, but, you know, he can't relax now. He's got Tortelli breathing on him.
Boy, those riders really know how to use those berms, don't they?
Now, the practice that it takes to ride that precise is unbelievable. And the fact that these guys can just come out of a berm through the air, land standing up, right in another one, right back on their power, and not miss a beat.
Incredible speeds on this sandy track. Carmichael, Ferry, and Villeman, the top 3. We'll be back with more 250 action in a moment. Art Ekman, David Bailey, Davey Coombs back with you. 250 Moto Action number 1. As Ricky Carmichael continues to dominate. What a story this year. Starting off rather slowly for Ricky Carmichael with a 4th place, a 2nd, and a 5th. Mainly out of having trouble in the first moto of each race.
I find it a lot more bizarre that he just lapped Ezra Lusk, the guy that used to just let young Ricky come ride on his track. Now look at what's going on. Lusk having a terrible year. But I think he's just trying to salvage it, you know, kind of get through it and really start fresh next season when he's got a chance to win something.
And the rumors have him going to Kawasaki next year.
Yeah, he's just checking out the bike going, well, that'll be mine.
Trade bikes, huh?
He's in the lead. Well, that's a good sign.
Here's the battle for 3rd with David Villeman and Kevin Windham. David, I really admire the way Kevin Windham has kept that work ethic up high despite some discouraging times. He's been very consistent this year. In fact, his worst race was a 6th at Redbud. He had a 2nd in the first moto, and then the chain came off the sprocket. No fault of his in the 2nd moto.
Yeah, that would have been at least a 2nd overall. And I think since that time, he's had a little extra help in the mental and physical department to keep him really in top form, and really made a difference.
More and more riders are going for those coaches, nutritionists, and sports psychologists these days. Here comes Windham trying to challenge Villeman. Ripping over that area. Kevin Windham with a clean pass.
And inside, just a better line all the way down that section. And Villeman looked over at him and still kind of left the door open there.
Villeman trying to come back on Windham. Let's see what happens in the whoops. Windham timing him beautiful.
That's a toss-up between Villeman and Kevin. These guys both have that incredible timing to put the bike exactly where they want within an inch or two. And that's important through that section. If you overjump or underjump any of that, you're ruined. He's looking back at Kevin. He should be looking at his pit board right here. Kevin's looking at his. I don't know why he needs to look back at Kevin, but it's got to throw your concentration off a little bit. You should look where you're going, and it just led to the pass. Kevin, other than Ricky, is the fastest guy on the racetrack right now. His lap times are right there in the neighborhood with Carmichael. Look at this line. He switched to that just a lap or two ago to miss all those braking bumps, and Villeman followed it.
Windham leading this freight train with Villeman, Larocco, and Tortelli. Time to go to the mechanics area and Racer X's Davey Combs.
Well, Paul, we've been watching Mike deal with Sebastian. How's it feel to hear your guy go by on a thumper?
It sounds pretty weird, but he seems to be adapting to it pretty well for only riding it for a week.
It looks like he's adapted extremely well. I mean, after a career on 2 strokes, he comes right out. He's leading the world champion.
Yeah, it's not natural to him yet, but if he rides it for a little while, it will be, and look out.
How much longer do you think we'll see him ride? Is this something in the future, maybe even 2002?
He's thinking about riding it next year, so he wanted to test it for the last 3 nationals to see how it went.
Finally, how hard was it for you to learn how to work on that bike?
Oh, God, that's a whole other story.
That's what I was going to say. Well, Mike's trying to make the adjustment, so's Paul, but I think there's enough people from Honda over there to help him with the switch. I know Dan Bentley was there to oversee things. He was the one tuning that bike for Ryan Hughes.
Have you heard anything about Ryan?
I know that he was considering not riding for quite a while because of the head injuries and the concussions, but I think he's been clear to that now. So I haven't heard what he's going to do, but I'm glad to hear that he's okay.
One of the fine young men in this sport, one of the many fine young men, Ryan Hughes.
Hard worker. He'd love this section.
Boy, would he ever. Here comes Larocco. Larocco does very well in that sandy area. A 3-time winner in the 125s here on this track. Larocco taking on Villeman to the inside. Mike Larocco, once again, Villeman looking to see who's next.
Oh, I thought Villeman got through that section pretty quick. Larocco just had a little bit better line there on the inside. And still staying in touch with Kevin Windham right there.
Oh, that could be a good battle.
I'll tell you what, I'll bet you he's feeling better and better on that bike every lap. Getting more and more used to the when to get on, the power, what gear to run. Villeman has definitely dropped back.
There's Tortelli going by him.
Yeah, he pretty much let that happen. I don't think that was a mistake. He's just hit a spot in the race where he needed to take a breather or something, and he couldn't afford it with those guys on his tail.
It's so much different being on a 4-stroke than a 2-stroke. But do remember that Mike Larocco is pretty used to power. He won the 500 championship the last AMA 500 championship that was given. We'll be right back with more 250 action. Back to racing at Millville, Minnesota. This is our 10th round of U.S. motocross action. And it's the white flag of our first 250 moto. Kevin Windham, Tim Ferry, final lap. Can Windham catch Ferry's four-stroke and pick up some points?
That's how close all those guys are. Just unbelievable. Carmichael has just dusted these guys today, but look at the battle for second.
Here's a big key area. Windham picking up speed in the whoops.
There's LaRocco and Tortelli back there to scoop up any scraps.
Ferry made it through the whoop section without any trouble. But right now, Windham is starting to pick up on him. Look out. Going through some left riders. Here comes Windham. On another technical area, Kevin Windham moves into second place.
Well, that was just a little bit unfortunate. Ferry was trying to jump into that section. It looked like try to double in, and he wasn't able to do it. Plus, he got a face full of sand. So Kevin was able to sit back there and look at the situation and take the right line.
Wyndham looking so strong at the end of this moto.
He started behind everybody, and now he's up to second. Look at that. Ferry just ducked out of the way so he can get a face full. He definitely got roosted, sandblasted more like. And there's LaRocco. He was almost ready to make that pass before the corner. He's still on him.
Ferry getting caught behind Gio Tedesco in that whoops area.
So that's pretty good. LaRocco's first ride on the four-stroke, and he's right there with Ferry, who's got that bike pretty dialed.
Carmichael waves to the fans. It will be his 10th moto win.
Shaking his head right there. Yeah, you better believe it. This is his track. He loves it. After Washougal, he had something to prove.
Kevin Windham in second place, holding off Ferry, but can LaRocco move up to third? Windham in second, Ferry in third. LaRocco, a great premier effort on that four-stroke for Honda in fourth. Tortelli holding on to a top 5 spot. Roncana moving up to 7th, Dowd slipping to 8th. Let's go down below now and hear from Davey Coombs. Davey?
Ricky, it looks like those 3 weeks off did you some good.
Yeah, I went out to California for a while and did some testing, and I believe I got a better setup. It felt good to win like that. I'll tell you, Bridgestone tires were hooking up off the gate, and, you know, my bike is running really good this weekend compared to the way it's been running, and I think my performance showed now. Hopefully I need to go out there and do the same thing the next moto.
How's it going through the Millville whoops today?
It's pretty rough, you know. I think they digged it out bigger since yesterday, so they're pretty tough. They're a tricky part of the track for sure.
One last question. How do you feel? How's your stomach?
Oh, my stomach's great. I got some new medicine now, and I didn't have no problem. It's fun, finally.
Good luck in the second moto.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Nothing like a win to put a smile on Ricky Carmichael's face. Here's Tim Ferry. Very fine race for Tim. Beaten out for that second spot by Kevin Windham, but he held on to third, holding off Mike LaRocco. Let's go back to Davey.
Tim, you had a great moto going. What happened at the end?
About halfway through or so, my must have been just trying to work the clutch too much. You know, kind of a lot of turns are real soft here, and I was trying to work it in a higher gear and you know, try not to spin too much, but I ended up frying my clutch. So last half the race, it was kind of just slipping going up the hills.
Up until that point, you were keeping Carmichael checked.
Yeah, I was staying pretty close. He was a little bit faster in practice, and I felt like I could almost run his pace, and it would have been definitely a good race. It's a bummer that, you know, that had to happen, but I guess the way it goes.
Well, you salvaged your bike for the second moto. Can you beat Ricky here?
I think if any track I can beat him, it's this one. I beat him at some that, you know, I didn't think I was going to be able to, and so now I'll just go out there and get a good start again. I didn't get a great jump off the gate, and I still come out third. So definitely, the Yamaha four-stroke got me to the first turn, top 3.
All right, good ride, the tough break at the end.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Ferry handling diversity like the top professional he is. When we return, the 125 points battle rages on without this guy, number 1, Travis Pastrana. Travis himself clues us in when we return to Millville.
The Honda Goldwing. Cycle World named it Best Touring Bike. Rider Magazine awarded it Motorcycle of the Year. And now your Honda dealer has a quote of his own. No down payment and low 5.9% APR financing. The all-new, unbelievable 1800cc Goldwing from Honda. Its impressive financing ends August 31st.
Hey, sports fans, the race for the ultimate tailgating grill is on, and the Grill to Go is leading the competition in the dust. Ordinary charcoal grills take 30 minutes or more to heat up, but the Grill to Go goes from 0 to cooking in record time. Unfold the legs, set the grill on top, attach propane cylinder.
Welcome back to a relatively quiet Millville, Minnesota between motos. In the first 125 moto, number 1, Travis Pastrana surprised us all by giving a final salute right here to the fans on his way off the track for a DNF. It was determined before the race started that if he wasn't feeling in top shape, he would do just that and prevent a possible crash like this that we saw at Washougal. Suzuki team manager Roger DeCoster has already told us that he will not run the second moto, but let's get it from the horse's mouth.
Thanks. I caught up with Travis Pastrana after the first moto DNF here at Millville. Travis, what exactly happened?
Well, I've just, you know, with all the injuries here lately, I wasn't able to train as much as I would have liked to on the bike and everything. And, you know, as good as I felt out there, at the halfway point, I was physically beat. And to run the top pace of these guys, Langston, Brown, everybody else, you have to be really on top of your game. And if it was the beginning of the season, you know, I would have dropped off the pace, got maybe, I mean, I might have been able to salvage a 5th out of this moto, but that's the best I'm going to be able to do for the rest of the season. And it's just not how I want to end out the championship. I'm going to go home, I'm going to train hard and get healthy, most of all, and I'll be ready for next year. But I have to, you know, forfeit my spot on the Motocross Nations team, which this has been one of the hardest decisions and days of my life. But Brown is riding phenomenally, and I think he's going to do a great job. He's going to be a great choice for the Motocross Nations team.
Travis, I know you had a tough summer, a few big crashes and everything. Was that in the back of your mind when you were riding, thinking that you didn't feel comfortable on the bike?
You know, to tell you the truth, I haven't got but 3 days on the bike before I came out here. I've only ridden 3 days of practice since Unadilla, which was almost 2 months ago. But I feel really relatively comfortable on the bike. I mean, it's like an extension of my body. It's just, I was going out there, and it's really difficult to run the pace with these guys when you haven't been, you know, 100%. And, you know, I could have gone out there and, like I said, maybe hopefully some top 5s, but that's not where I want to be. And to Langston, Brown, I mean, Fonseca, all these guys, they're in such good shape and riding so phenomenally that, you know, you have to be on top of your game to even have a chance. And I wouldn't have a chance at the title. It would take a miracle. So I'm going to go home. I'm going to get healthy. I'm not going to go out there and push myself so I have another concussion. And I'm going to come back strong next year.
Well, guys, there you have it. Travis Pastrana making a very difficult decision.
One of the things that makes Travis the happiest is his love of competition. And you can see there, making that tough decision, he just didn't feel he could be competitive with a guy like number 111, Grant Langston, who has tied Mike Brown for the points lead in the 125 motocross scene after the first moto. We'll be right back with moto number 2 in a moment.
I can't stand looking.
Chevy Trucks AMA Motocross is brought to you by Suzuki, the reigning AMA 125 National Motocross and Arena Cross champion. Number 100, Mike Brown, was 59 points behind the points leader after 6 races. But he's coming off 4 consecutive moto wins. And he is tied for the points lead with Grant Langston. That could come on the all-time comeback list should he win the title. Davey?
Well, Mike, we missed you at the end of the first moto. I understand you're not feeling very well.
No, I was feeling good. I just ate too much roost, and had it in my throat, and I was like almost going to throw up because it had it all in my throat, and I couldn't breathe good. And, no, I feel good, you know. Sorry I didn't stop there and talk to the crowd, but no, hopefully this moto I'll be up there. I'll stop for sure, and yeah, it's good.
I understand congratulations are in order with Pastrana out. You've been invited to replace him on Team USA.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. Pumped, you know. That's an honor to be doing that, and I'll do my best job, and, you know, looking forward to that. But first of all, I want to win this championship.
Right now you're tied with Grant Langston going into the second moto.
Yeah, it's good, you know, that he's up there with me. The pressure's on now, so I like it like that. It'll be good.
Good luck, Mike.
Thank you.
Mike Brown trying to join Steve Lapson, Jeff Emig, and Pastrana for great comebacks in the points race. In fact, Emig in '92 was the only 125 rider to win a title, winning his first race as late as the 5th round. Brown's first win this year was round 5. Grant Langston, though, is a tiger by the tail, number 111. There's Brock Sellers, his teammate, and then Mike Brown. So the rivalry that started in Europe 2 years ago between these two, Mike Brown and Grant Langston, continues here in America. They are tied in the points going into this second moto of the afternoon in Millville. Oh, Brownie not getting a very good start. It's Sellers and Langston out front, the two KTMs. Keith Johnson, Steve Boniface. Brown is about mid-pack. That's Keith Johnson from Albuquerque that went down in a dangerous position as Grant Langston takes over the lead. Looks back, he's got his teammate right behind him.
It looked a little bit like Sellers, once he saw Langston come up around the outside of him, he eased out of it just a touch so he could run a block. I don't mean an unfair block, but just to make things a little bit easier for Langston out front. He understands what it's going to take to win this championship. He's doing his part.
There's Fonseca, number 25, behind Sellers. Where's Brownie?
Yeah, he's not getting off the line very well today. He moved over to the better starting position, but he didn't get off over the first 10 feet of the gate very well. In fact, he got kind of closed off by Sellers and had to ride mid-pack to the first corner.
Well, we really didn't see it here at Millville so far, but we'll hopefully see it at Binghamton or Delmont to see the two, Mike Brown and Grant Langston, get together. There's Brownie, just went through. Because these guys are so unflappable and aggressive like warriors. Boy, wouldn't it be great to see him man against man. Langston's still wondering where Brownie is, I think. He's looking back again as he takes away from Brock Sellers.
He looks really confident. He jumped up that hill as far as the 250s are jumping.
There's Fonseca in third. Payne.
Wow, Brown just stuffing it in.
Yes, and Brown moves into 5th right now.
Look at that back end just hopped all the way from that braking bump into the berm. He's pushing hard right now.
Payne is next on his list after passing Boniface.
They're basically starting the season right now. It's tied going into this moto, so Brown's thinking of every point, every rider. He could probably look up the track at certain points and see that it's a couple of KTMs out front, and that's probably got to have him riding even a little bit more aggressive than normal.
Brown definitely the underdog, especially after Langston got such a great start on the season.
See how hard he's pushing? Came out of that dip and almost overjumped the berm. The first couple of laps of a race are critical to be able to get in there and stay in contact with somebody. Once you lose sight of them, it's demoralizing.
And this is the kind of track, as was stated earlier, that Grant Langston loves. A sand track like his home track last year in Holland.
Yeah, the thing that people overlook, too, is that Brown likes the sand as well. He doesn't care if it's on pavement. Sawdust, bring it on. He's tough. And, you know, he's telling Davey, oh, I feel good. Well, he's not feeling good today, but he's not going to tell us that. He didn't look good. His eyes are red. He's going to do whatever it takes.
Hated to see Pastrana being pulled off the Motocross the Nations team, or pulling himself off because of his condition. But with Brown, the replacement, who's already raced several races at Namur, Belgium, I think that's a good move. Like Ryan Hughes was chosen last year for the U.S. team.
Yeah, anybody that knows what's going on over Europe's just totally different. The practice schedules, the way they drop the gate, the kind of track, the way they prepare the track, everything's different. If you're comfortable with that, you have an advantage, even if you're not quite as fast as somebody else over here. If you've got Europe dialed, you're a good pick. Now, I'm not saying he's a better pick than Travis, but from what they have left, I think Brown's a great choice.
Brownie tried to match somewhat the effort of Steve Lampson way back when Lammy was 59 points down after failing to score a point in 3 of the first motos of the season. The one thing about Brownie's comeback, he was 59 points with 6 races left on the season.
Fonseca getting another good start. Got a chance here to put together a good day. Second overall looks like a real possibility. I don't know if he's going to catch Langston.
Here's Sellards.
I don't think anybody's going to catch Langston today. He's already gone.
Brock Sellards on the KTM in second place. Fonseca in third. He's getting some big heat right now.
Well, I got to be honest with you, Art. When Sellards had his surgeries and stuff over the winter, switched to KTM and was struggling at the beginning of the year.
Here comes Brownie. Oh, he just leaps by him.
Yeah, Fonseca's probably like, if you want it that bad, you can have it. He just flew out of that dip, landed in the berm that time. That takes sheer guts and aggression, a lot of confidence. You mess that up, that's a foot peg in the berm, and you're right over the handlebars. But going back to Sellards, I really thought maybe he made a bad choice, or, you know, that this was just going to be a terrible year. Maybe he'd seen his best days, but man, he really picked it up. I'm impressed with that. It's hard to rebound from that many problems.
Sellards right now is trying to hold Mike Brown off from second place. Look at Brownie just wheeling through that area. Oh, we might have a race yet. Langston, Sellards, and Brown, the top 3. We'll be right back with more 125 action right after these words. Back to Millville, Minnesota. This is our second 125 moto. Way out in front right now. So soon as Grant Langston, number 111, his teammate 18, Brock Sellards, is trying his darndest to keep 100 Mike Brown from getting second place and possibly challenging Grant Langston with still time and lots of laps left.
Well, I've said before, we can see the intentions of Mike Brown. Look at the lead Langston has. He's out of there, out of their sight, drops over the hill before they come around the corner. That really ruins any hope of being able to win a moto. But Brown, he's going to take this Brock Sellards guy in his way, in the worst way. He's already aggressive. If he gets a chance to get anywhere near him, he's going to get him right out of the way, that's for sure. He doesn't want anybody interfering with the battle he's got going with Langston.
Incidentally, Mike Brown's outstanding motocross appearances this year have led to a new 2-year contract with Pro Circuit Kawasaki. Here comes Brownie, making the move in the whoops. Sellards, can he hang on? Oh, we're going bar to bar. Are we going to rub a little bit? Oh, and Sellards goes down. So Brown takes second place, and Sellards has quite a lot of work cut out for him, getting up behind Steve Boniface there and several other riders.
Brown is pinned. Already came to that corner. Thought he was going to lose the back end. He is mad. Fire shooting out of his eyes right now. And it surprised me that Fonseca's staying that close.
He's not content with being 3 points down in this championship race after this moto. Anything can happen to Langston, and he knows it.
This is the line right here that Brown is aimed at. But watch, he just goes straight a little bit longer. Kind of runs, Sellards didn't have any room right there. And watch this. This is the very next corner. Brown gets in there so hot, his outside foot slipped off the peg, and he still kept it wide open. This guy's mad right now. He wants to get, you know, when these guys, Langston and Brown, talk about each other, there's not a lot of love. You know, there's been a question posed to Brown a couple times, what about Langston? I don't care about Langston. Every time my bike was together, I beat the guy. And Langston thinks he can beat Brown, so this is going to get good.
There is professional respect that takes over after they get off the track.
Oh, Rick Johnson and I had all kinds of respect for each other, but no one else saw that anywhere near the races.
Grant Langston out in front. Once he gets out in front, he doesn't make very many mistakes. And he just keeps pouring it on. And look at the track. It's roughing up pretty good.
Yeah, he's probably thinking the rougher the better. He doesn't care. Both Brown and Langston. Remember Ryan Hughes, I keep bringing him up, but he rode in Europe and he saw these guys and he said, you know, Travis doesn't have a prayer against these guys. And I was like, I don't know. Travis is pretty fast. And he's got more resolve than most motocross. I don't think there's anybody out there besides Travis and these guys that have that kind of intensity And these guys got that intensity and the consistency and the resolve to put it all together.
There's a couple of differences that make this rivalry tremendous. One, of course, is that Langston's trying to become the first foreigner to win a 125 American motocross title. And, of course, Brownie is just trying to uphold his nationalistic feelings as well. But there's 10 years difference in age from these two. Langston at 19, Mike Brown at 29. So we got the baby boomers pulling for Mike Brown, I think.
Oh, I'm impressed. I'm so sorry to see Travis go, because you get 3 guys out there that try this hard, that have this much confidence and
skill.
You're going to have a real exciting title down to the wire, even with, you know, it's, like I said, it's just a real shame what Travis did. I agree with it. And at least there's still 2 guys to fight it out.
For those of you just tuning in, Travis Pastrana pulling out of the first moto, feeling he just wasn't in shape to contend with number 111 and number 100. Let's check in now in the mechanics area. Racer X's Davey Combs.
Tony, it looks like Roderick's sandwiched between a couple 4-strokes.
Yeah, it looks like it right now. He's a 4-stroke sandwich.
I can assume that respire means breathe in French.
Exactly, that's what it means. I usually put that on there every race. That's what he tells me to put on the board.
How do you think he can end up in this moto?
I'll be happy if he's top 5 like he was the first moto. Give us a good overall and maybe put us in the top 10 in points. I'd be really excited about that.
He's had a great few races going back to Kenworth and, of course, Washougal.
Yeah, he has. He's really picked it up. I think that he's trying to show that he's, you know, got some work to him, and he's been trying really hard, and I'm pretty happy about that. Thanks, Davey.
Tane looking impressive with a podium performance in the last race at Washougal. He had a couple podiums early in the season, but a big crash hurting his shoulder at Southwick, and he was out for 3 races, even went back to France to recuperate. And then came back to Troy, took a second in his very first moto back, but in the second moto, number 32 said, hey, I just wasn't in good enough condition to compete. And after 20 minutes, he had to give way to the other riders. Our Suzuki trivia question, who's the only Suzuki rider to win consecutive overalls here at Millville? The answer when we return.
Networks.
Welcome back to Spring Creek Motocross Park for more AMA Chevy Trucks motocross action. It's the second moto for the 125s. You see Sellards, Boniface, and then Nick Way. Way winning a 125 race here. That was back in 1999. He's had a tough season, though, this year.
These guys are staying pretty close to Sellards.
And they've got a good battle going on as they hit that whoop section.
Way just kept that a little bit flatter through there. All you have to do is hit one of those bumps wrong. You know, just forget, whoops, we lead over the wrong one, and it wrecks the rest of the straightaway.
What does Davey Combs have?
Dave, a couple pretty inspired rides by Nick out here.
Yeah, I guess it was time to do something right now. You know, he struggled all through the outdoor season, and he got hurt at Washougal. A couple weeks off, didn't ride at all. I think it's helped a lot.
I know this is a racetrack that he won at a few years ago. Did that add any extra inspiration to him coming into Millville?
Yeah, I think so.
Here's the 4-stroke action here, even in the 125 class.
Looks like Fonseca.
Yeah, something's wrong.
Yeah, he's not riding nearly as hard as he was. Looks like he lost the back end right there, too.
How to ruin a perfectly nice day. Ernesto Fonseca's got to feel bummed out. There must be something wrong with the bike. He was riding tremendously well. Roderick Tane currently in 3rd. The Suzuki trivia question, the only Suzuki rider to win consecutive overalls here at Millville, a local hero. The late Donnie Schmidt in 87, 88, then went to Europe to gain championship form in the GPs. For our Suzuki flashback, we called on Travis Pastrana.
This race here in Millville last year was great. I mean, I didn't think I had a chance at the championship. I was just going out to have a good time, and always heard about the, you know, the big whoops, the whoop monsters here, you know, and just going out there and big hills, a lot of diversity, and kind of been looking forward to it the whole season. And I came out there and ended up you know, getting 2 great starts and just leading pretty much every lap here last year. And it's a great track for me.
With Langston way out in front here in our second moto, the battle is for 5th place. Fonseca 25, Way is over on the far side of the track, sandwiching Sellards.
Fonseca is still losing time. I can't really figure out just yet. See anything wrong, but something is, because he's been riding strong all day. I know he's in shape. He had a great first moto. The flat rear tire, that's what it looks like.
Kind of looked like it when he came right out of the whoops, didn't he?
Yeah. That may be his problem, and I can understand that. It's flat. Oh, what a bummer.
What next for this youngster who was off to his finest motocross of the season?
Well, there goes Sellards. Nothing new. He's just wounded. He did a good job at disguising it for a little while. It was hard to tell. He's still trying. He didn't just give up. But that's the 3rd moto I can think of this series where he's had some sort of a problem while he was running in the top 3.
Brock Sellards into 5th.
Mike, after that early crash of the Broadcat, it looks like he's gotten right back on the pace.
Yeah, it looks like it took him a little while to get his head back on straight, but seems to be picking up the pace. His lap times are getting better, and try to get a strong finish, maybe get on the podium.
There's Fonseca now trying to hold off Nick Way. That's got to be awfully frustrating.
Yeah, but you know what? It could be a lot worse on a different track. In this sand, there's a lot of berms and things that'll hold that back wheel in the line. That was a hard-packed track. He'd be a lot further back by now.
Sellards 18. Fonseca 25 and Nick Way on the inside.
You like to see a guy still try hard when he's got a problem. And that's his teammate back there. He could easily just move over and go, here you go, but he's like, forget it. It's a race.
Way makes the move.
He had
Number 23.
He had to move over that time. Way had enough.
Nick Way's off to his best afternoon in motocross this year. Davey?
Kenny, every time Ernesto Fonseca comes through the mechanics area, he looks back, he looks at his back wheel. I'm assuming it's a flat tire.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming too. It's really hard to tell, but he kept looking down, and I think it's a flat. He's trying to ride it out.
You think he can finish the moto?
That's what we're hoping. That's what we're hoping.
Tough break, Kenny.
Yeah, thanks.
Grant Langston in first place with Mike Brown in second place. If it stays this way, he'll have a 3-point lead going into the penultimate round. Number 111, 17 seconds in front of Mike Brown. Well, we'll probably see the checkers come out when we come back here to Millville. Here in Millville, Grant Langston winning the first moto of the 125s. He's way out in front here in the second moto. Roderick Kane, number 32, is now getting some pressure from behind from Nathan Ramsey of Yamaha of Troy.
Pretty impressed with Kane after that injury coming back. He's been pretty strong since. He's been top 5 every moto except that one where he faded a little bit. Understandable, his first race back in Troy, which was so hot. But now he's the guy carrying the flag over at Suzuki with Pastrana out.
Through the mechanics area. Ramsey trying to steal one from Roderick Kane, third place.
Listen to Kane, hard on the power. He still looks strong to me. There's no sign of fading or anything.
This means a podium for him if he can hold it.
Yeah, you can bet he knows that. Gets a little sideways right there. Has to slow down.
Oh! Here comes Ramsey on the first stroke. Ramsey in the third.
That was pretty ugly there at the end for Ramsey as well, but he got through the midsection of that sand whoop. That section just drains all your energy. Every time you come in there, you got to take a deep breath. It takes a lot out of you.
Final lap, Langston. Confident of victory. Salutes the fans on his way around the track. Boy, for 19 years old, this kid looks so confident and so powerful.
He's a really good rider. This guy picks good lines, versatile, and young.
He knows right now that he's going to be the new points leader once that checkered flag comes out. As he weeds his way through the lapped riders and easily takes the checkers. Grant Langston. Langston now has won 8 motos out of a total 20. Langston, Brown, Ramsey the top 3 with Tane in 4th, and Sellards rounding out the top 5. Let's go to Davey.
I got to tell you, on a day that you lose your world championship over in Europe, you come back and get back on top of the American game here with the 1-1 in Millville.
Yeah, I mean, I had a really good day today. As I said before, with this break, it gave me some time to think about things, get the bike set up. And, you know, I felt comfortable these last 2 weeks riding, you know, training out at Brock Sellards' house. And I felt confident. I wanted to come here, win both motos, and take the points lead. And I actually watched Bud's Creek interview on TV where Brown knocks me there, which kind of upset me, which motivated me to come out and, you know, beat him bad. And I think, you know, that second moto proved it when I destroyed him.
With Pastrana out, it is between you and Brown. And last year, the two of you raced together for that 125 World Championship. You came out on top there.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, I beat him last year, and I want to beat him again this year. And, you know, unfortunately, Travis has been injured, and, you know, he's been a great competitor, and it's kind of sad to see him end off the season like that. But, you know, it makes racing, you know, a 2-horse race now, and, you know, I think, you know, it's my turn to win. You know, it's been a bit of a drought, actually. It's been since Hangtown, since I swept, and I feel like the old Grant Langston's back.
Should be an exciting last 4 motos.
I hope so.
Here's the overall picture now with Langston 1-1, of course, Brown in 2nd, and Roderick Tane with that 4th place, getting on his 2nd consecutive podium. Nice job by Tane as we go back to Davey on the podium.
2nd race in a row. They got you on that start.
Yeah, he did. You know, he got a good start. He did, and got going earlier than I did. I got behind Brock there for 4 or 5 laps, and he just stretched the lead on me, and I rode the hardest I could, you know. I just made a few mistakes in the whoops back there. I wasn't consistent enough, and it's a good track for him. You know, he's a sand rider, and, you know, I like the sand, but he does go good in it. But next 2 tracks is like the same I got in my backyard, like Muddy Creek.
It is hard packing New York and Steel City, but you know what? Langston seems to think he has you checked. He said he did it last year. He can do it again.
Yeah, he can think what he wants, you know. We'll see next weekend.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Does that set up a great Binghamton race in the next round or what? On the Suzuki point standings, Langston a 3-point lead on Brown. It's been a little bizarre, but he takes over the points lead after even missing 1 race on the season. Chad Watts, the mechanic for Ricky Carmichael, and Johnny O'Mara both wait for the 250s next. Art Ekman, David Bailey, and Davey Coombs bringing you action from Millville, Minnesota. It's been a perfect day for racing as we look forward to the 2nd moto of 250s. Kevin Windham with the 2nd place in the 1st moto is coming off not only 2 podiums, but also a 1-1 win at Washougal. But he is nowhere to be found around the gate right now. Hopefully, Davey Coombs has got some information.
Well, check it out, guys. They went ahead and told the 250 riders to fire him up, and here comes Kevin Windham at the nick of time. A whole new clutch in that Suzuki. Windham's going to get a shot at Carmichael here in the 2nd moto.
Kevin pulling in right alongside Ricky Carmichael. He's got Tortelli to his right, Carmichael to his left.
That'll get your heart rate up. And, you know, for as much of a hurry as you needed to be in right there, that's a pretty casual ride at the gate. Just kind of locked up the wheel and slid right into his spot.
Robbie Raynard, number 17. His dad's trying to keep him cool. Everybody else is heating up. Getting ready for moto number 2 of our 250s. Carmichael, winner of the 1st moto. The board sideways, rev it up, waiting for that gate to drop. The final moto of the afternoon underway. Carmichael a good start. But it's John Dowd once again on that big 520 KTM getting the whole shot. Windham's right there. Dowd, Windham, Carmichael. Windham taking over 2nd place.
Well, this is going to be good because it's... Whoa!
Coming dangerously close. Ricky Carmichael wants that 2nd place right back again.
I was about to say this should be good because Kevin had a strong pace. He's coming up from behind the 1st moto. Maybe he could take it to Ricky this time, but Ricky doesn't waste any time.
As Verluskin 4th, as Ricky Carmichael wants to take a piece of John Dowd, moves into the lead on the inside. So Carmichael quickly, like he did in the first moto, out in front before the first lap was over. John Dowd trying to hold on to second place. Kevin Windham in third. And it's Ezra Lusk, number 11, who crashed in the first moto, but ended up in 19th, trying to fight his way back up through everybody.
Oh, that's fast. That is fast. And grabbed 2 tearaways again. It looked like he almost actually had landed and then pulled the other one. One-handed that whole deal. Then his foot slipped off the bag. He doesn't care as long as he doesn't let off the throttle.
He's already won 10 motos.
There went Windham. Just bonsai'd his way around the outside of Dowd into that berm. He's able to pull it off, make the pass. He has to. Watch this. Carmichael coming. Oh, right there. He's going, whoops, too much. They actually make contact. Look at the balance of these guys. Right back into it.
Boy, in slow motion, you really see the impact and what those suspensions can absorb.
Well, it looked like maybe their rear wheels actually touched. That could have been pretty scary. These guys got through it no problem. Now they're running 1-2. Dowd's probably going, man, I can't hang with this.
There's Villeman 934. And once again, Tim Ferry, who had that tough luck with the clutch problem and taking a third in the first moto.
Beautiful pass on the inside. It didn't even look like he really could get on the gas yet. He just pinned it anyway and came out of there in a perfect slide for the pass on Villeman. And, you know, I had no idea. You know, that's something you can't really tell, seeing that he had a clutch problem. But that makes sense. That Ferry dropped off the pace a little bit, allowing some of those guys to catch up with him, because he had a strong race going until that problem.
What do you have to do to ride without a clutch?
You can't. It's just the way it is. And it's funny is because when I first started racing, we just didn't use it, you know, maybe to shift gears and on the start. And, it's, you know, if you tell a guy to go out there just for the heck of it and ride without the clutch, they can barely do it. And they realize how important it is.
Windham in second place. Well, look at this battle for third as Lusk takes advantage of John Dowd. Ezra Lusk, a tough season. Looking forward to starting anew next year with the new team.
Never really bragged too much about being a great outdoor rider. And you've got to be anxious to start something new. New team, new surroundings, and in the Supercross season where he really gets it done.
He does have 3 career 250 victories outdoors, however, and showed us time and time again how gutsy a rider he is outdoors. We'll be right back with more 250 action.
Hey, Kiki Club member.
Back to Millville, Minnesota, second moto for the 250s. And Tim Ferry. Amazing story this year for Tim as he tries to run down Ezra Lusk, David. He lost the clutch in the first moto, but that's only one of many problems he's had all year long, and yet he survived very well, third in the points.
Remember at Unadilla, he lost the whole front brake assembly. Then at Troy, the bike blew up. Look at that pass. Man, he is on the gas right now. Then at Washougal, halfway through the first moto, running the pace with Ricky and Kevin out front. He lost his goggles. And then the first moto here, no clutch. So 4 consecutive races with some kind of freak problem. Nobody's fault. And he's dealing with it. No problem. I like his attitude. Roncato's having problems.
Stefan Roncata gets clipped and has a few French words for the guy that just went by.
Yeah, get him mad, and then he's really fast. You need to start the race like that. That's what sometimes you need to do.
Very besting Ezra Lusk. Let's take another look at this just awesome pass.
Well, watch Ezra get on the gas, and he's got to let off. Barry never had to let off, and he's not in that soft stuff. He hits the better part of the jump, scrubs off a little speed, lowers, keeps the bike lower, and then he lands on the downside under power. And Lusk's probably thinking, what did I do wrong there?
Here's our leader, Ricky Carmichael, checking out once again, Davey.
Yeah, we guys were in a position like this at Washougal. Ricky out front, Kevin second. How will Ricky play it different this time?
Well, we learned a little bit at Washougal about K-Dub. You won't give up at all. We just got to give a fast pace right now and do those laps. Don't go through like a 2-lap slump like we did at Washougal.
Do you think that sitting on the starting gate affected Ricky at all? You guys are down there in the heat for a little while.
No, not really. I mean, I don't put an umbrella over him because he's going to be in the hot weather anyway, so the better he's adapted to it, the better he's going to be.
These guys just reek confidence, don't they? You know, he doesn't need an umbrella at the starting line. He lives in Florida, for crying out loud. He knows what the heat's all about. It's not that bad today. And it's the mindset. You know, if you got to be on the starting line with an umbrella, you're kind of telling yourself you're weak. And that's one thing that Ricky is not.
Kind of reminds me once of Steve Prefontaine telling me, growing up in Oregon, it's nothing running in the rain. It's a mindset. And you learn it at an early age under those conditions. The battle for fourth, Ezra Lusk getting a challenge from David Villeman.
Ezra looking for that smooth inside line. Change his line real quick. Good thing Villeman's not following him too close. These guys are having a big battle. And it's got to be frustrating to ride this hard, and Ricky's just pulling away.
Lusk getting into the whoops first. Oh, nicely done by Ezra.
I don't know that you could go through that section any faster. Both those guys racing each other got there in a hurry.
And Villeman gets the edge.
Deep rut right there. Ezra got a little high-sided. Villeman had the better angle coming in, but it's been the guys going down the inside of that straightaway that have had the advantage at the end. Look at that. You know, when you watch these guys go by, it doesn't look like they can go much faster, but Ricky is, and Ferry, and Windham. I mean, what a competitive class now.
Dowd versus LaRocco here. A 520 versus that 4-stroke for Honda.
I'll tell you what, you know, I've been kind of back and forth on the whole 4-stroke issue, and having a 500 or a 450 4-stroke in the 250 class is a little odd, especially, you know, not to mention the 250 and the 125 class. Morocco's got that inside. Looks like it's going to pay off, but, you know, that's what it's coming to. My son rode a 250F the other day and didn't want to get back on a CR. He goes, Dad, it's harder to ride. And I encourage everybody to take a look at 4-strokes. That's going to be the future. It's kind of like saying, oh, I don't need a computer. You're going to get left behind.
LaRocco, 11 career wins on a 250 2-stroke, tries his hand for the first time on a Honda 4-stroke. In this Honda profile, we talked with Mike about the change.
It's fun for me to ride because it's different. I mean, it's a completely different style of riding it, and not that it's hard to adjust to. I mean, it's an easy bike to ride, but it's just a lot. It's a lot of bike. It was 3 races left, you know, and I'm kind of in a position where I'm stuck, so I'm going to use it as a learning process. I mean, I know this may be the future, and I'd rather ride a few races now where it's not as important as, let's say, if I start next season with it. So, you know, I'm going to learn these next 2 months and just see where I stand.
To come to Millville with the sand and the bumps, we asked him about the differences that he'll face in this race.
To ride it for the first time in the bumps and the soft dirt was already more different than I expected, but I felt like we made some adjustments that made things better for me, and I definitely think I'll be competitive.
So with some time to test the new bike, Mike look to make a change for next year.
Yeah, I ride the last 3 races on it. You know, after that, I'm going to do a fair comparison in Supercross and see where I stand.
I get
Rated E for everyone.
Millville, Minnesota. Ricky Carmichael is checked out. It looks like he's going to sweep Millville for his 4th win in 5 years at this track. But the battle is going on for 5th place right now.
And it's a good one, too. LaRocco came down that inside in a hurry. There he goes again. Now, Lusk came down from the outside back there and just leaped into the berm. I don't know if he could do that again. He went in there as hot as he could just to barely hold off LaRocco, and there goes Mike.
And the amazing thing is Lusk is not saying, here, take the spot. He's battling it.
No, he's riding as hard as he can. He was doing the same thing with Villeman, but just little things here and there that are holding Ezra back.
Well, I've always admired longevity, and Mike LaRocco currently in 5th place. That might be his middle name. Paul Delorier, the mechanic and loyal friend.
I like to see it, Art. I like to see the fact that Jeremy will be 30 next year. LaRocco already in his 30s. Larry Ward doing well. Dowd running at the front here and there. You know, I'm getting a little tired of seeing the 4- and 5-year-olds in a semi Loretta Lynn's. I'd like to think that these kids could start a little later with more maturity.
Down in the pits with Paul Delorier is Davey.
Well, Paul, unfortunately, Mike didn't get the hole shots he wanted, but at the same time, he's making progress.
Yeah, he's making good time and getting used to the bike. I don't know. We're going to get a hole shot one of these times. Figured maybe it was a new bike, new luck. Try again next weekend.
I like that guy. You know, he's the last mechanic of a well-known rider to still drive the truck. Now, he doesn't, I don't think, now, because they get the big semi coming and all that. But Paul Delorier did everything for Mike LaRocco 2 seasons ago.
Yep, he's hardcore. He enjoys it. He always has that smile. He gets emotional, too. He's had the mic on for us in Supercrosses. And, you know, you can't use everything he says.
Villeman and Foy.
Put in a hard day of riding. And again, I mean, the frustration of riding as hard as you can go and coming in and just having to ask who won. I can't explain how frustrating it is. I've had it happen to me. And you get in a little bit of a rut where you start to lose your confidence.
Villeman here in 4th is looking at a 5th place overall for his efforts today. It's the 3rd time this year would have taken a 5th place overall, and then he's got that win at Mount Morris, of course.
I mean, look at him through here. Looks great. Imagine riding that hard, and you're losing 2-3 seconds a lap, perhaps, to this guy. And the next week, you line up next to him. How you feeling? Not confident.
Ricky Carmichael making his way through the lapped riders right now. Ezra Lusk has got problems. Let's go to Davey.
Down here in the pits, Ezra Lusk just pulled in. He had a fine ride going his ride in the top 5 after a terrible first moto. There you see Ron Wood, a Honda engineer, and his mechanic Mike Gosler checking on the bike. Ezra Lusk pulling out early here in the 2nd moto.
What more can happen to this guy this year? Ezra Lusk, sideline, still talking with the Mike Gosler. Another frustrating turn. I can't see enough of number 4, the defending champion, Ricky Carmichael. His style, his attitude, and, of course, the skill that he professes on these tracks. Let's go to Davey.
Well, Chad, I checked the lap times. You're right. It was just 1 lap. That time, Ricky hung 3 more seconds on Kevin.
Yeah, and actually Fair's catching up to Kevin right now, so hopefully that'll occupy those two a little bit. And Ricky keep doing his own deal, and maybe I won't have to worry about that alarm calling.
Is this the kind of Ricky we could expect to see the next 2 nationals to close out the season?
I hope so. I mean, it would be nice for next weekend to go really good and have a little bit of relaxation at the last race. You might see us on $1.25, but you never know.
Uh-huh.
Did he just tell us something?
Maybe.
To break the all-time record, he's tied with Mark Barnett with 125 wins. Well, that's pretty confident, though, going against Grant Langston and Mike Brown.
What if he got into that class and didn't win? Because I'll tell you what, those guys are fast. I know he probably knows how fast Brown is. They ride together, and I have a feeling that if he's going to ride, it won't just be for the record. It'll be to try to help Brown win the championship.
Here's what Chad was talking about. Tim Ferry, number 15, gaining ground on Kevin Windham, number 14, for 2nd place. Now, this is a battle for podium spots.
Well, Kevin rode his tail off the first moto, used plenty of energy. Then he had that little excitement after the parade lap, having to get a new clutch, rush to the starting line. So he may not have come into this moto quite as fresh as he'd like to.
Well, if Ferry makes the pass, that means he's got a 3-2 at the checkered flag, quite possibly. That would beat the 2-3 of Kevin Windham, not in point total, but in the rules. That would give him a 2nd spot on the podium.
Well, it's a 6-point swing, or a 4-point swing right here. If he can pass him, they go even.
Here comes Ferry, looking very aggressive.
Well, Kevin did it to him the first moto. Looks like he's going to return the favor. He's all over him.
Showing that front wheel, that's for sure, as they come down that hill so fast.
What's tricky about it is this time of day, you're going into the sun right there. See the shadow on those berms, and you see the shadow and all those braking bumps. It makes them look worse than they are.
Here comes Ferry. Ho-ho! How did he get that 4th stroke in front?
That was total commitment. He came in there so hot, Windham could hear him and knew if he aimed to the inside, they were both going down. So Windham wisely backed out of it.
Tim Ferry in 2nd place. He's showing us that he doesn't like to give up. regardless of where he is in the order. And speaking of order, it's Carmichael checking out on Ferry, Windham, Millville, and Larocco. Chevy Trucks AMA Motocross is brought to you by Chevy Trucks, the most dependable, long-lasting trucks on the road. And by Honda, the company that defines performance in motorcycles, ATVs, and scooters. What a day it's been for number 4, Ricky Carmichael. He won't win the championship today, but he'll be about 50 points ahead as he gets the white flag of the final lap. With 2 races to go and a possible 100 points, he could sit out 2 full motos.
I don't think he's going to. I think he wants to put it away next week, win the championship, be able to do whatever he wants in Delmont. And he's still going hard this lap.
It was probably his most dominating race of the year. He had a 1-1 sweep at Southwick where he led all 32 laps. You saw the graphic. He'll lead all 30 today if he finishes this one standing up and in first place. Ricky Carmichael is looking for his 15th 250 motocross victory. And that ties him with who?
Emig?
No, Emig's got 16. That's a good guess, though. Jeremy McGrath. People tend to forget when Jeremy's not running motocross these days that he had 15 250 motocross wins.
Yeah, it's more than I thought.
Plus 1 championship and almost another. Here's Ricky Carmichael finishing up a glorious day.
He's enjoying this last lap at a pace that most privateers would love to be able to hold. Look how fast he goes when he's just forcing around.
This will be his 40th all-time career motocross victory, counting the 25 and the 125 classification. You heard Chad Watts at least give an implication that he might jump on a 125 bike if he takes the crown at Binghamton and try to be the sole leader all-time career 125 winner.
I don't know, Art. I think that may be more for helping Brown. You know, he keeps coming to the starting line, and Washougal is watching Brown getting ready for his second moto. Might be to try to get in there and affect the outcome of that. I don't know that I agree with that so much either. That's just my opinion, but I sure didn't want to affect the outcome of somebody else's series. Back when Honda asked me to do it for my teammate O'Mara, was also my best friend. I just didn't want to do it. I think Ricky's...
What's he doing?
Looks like he's waving this lap rider by. Going, go one more lap.
Yeah.
The guy's going, no, I don't want to go another lap.
No, that's Kyle Lewis, number 24.
He's going, you want another lap out of this?
Yeah,
I'll wait.
The veteran former national Japanese champion, Kyle Lewis. But Ricky Carmichael looking for his 2nd consecutive 250 Chevy Trucks AMA US Motocross Championship. Takes the most dominating race here at Millville. Carmichael, Tim Ferry, Kevin Windham, your top 3. And the significant factor of Kyle Lewis placing in 10th, Carmichael lapped him. Let's go to Davey.
Well, RC, I know you came in here looking for a little bit of redemption after what happened with Washougal. I think you got a lot of it.
Yeah, I did. I tell you, my Kawasaki's working awesome. Bridgestone tires were hooking up off the start today, and couldn't ask for a better combination. I tell you, I'm really happy with today's performance. It's been a while since I've been able to pull away and get a good lead, and I'm really happy about it.
The way the afternoon turned out, you now have a 50-point lead on Kevin Windham. That means next week at Binghamton, you could clinch another championship, and that would be your 6th major title of your career.
Yeah, I tell you, Davey, that would be great for myself and as well as Kawasaki. You know, we've all worked hard, and I just need to go home and stay on my routine and try to wrap this thing up next week, and I'm going to give it 110%.
Last question, how rough did this track get today?
Oh, it was really rough today, but, you know, I'm really happy with today's performance and try to carry it to next weekend.
Good ride, champ.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Davey.
Boy, he looks refreshed after 2 weekends of non-racing action as Carmichael takes the overall. Ferry in 2nd, Kevin Windham on the podium in 3rd as Larocco and Villeman round out the top 5. Back to Davey.
Kevin, first of all, you barely made that start.
Yeah, we had a little problem guess my clutches were slipping a little bit from the first moto, and I didn't realize until I got there on the hot lap. But we had time to do it. You know, all the mechanics at Suzuki really pitched in and helped Allie out. Got it done. You know, so it's nice to have mechanics just waiting on you to have a problem like that, and that they can solve it that fast.
Once you're out there, Ricky got a good start and kind of got away from you early, and then you had Barry coming up in your rearview mirror.
Yeah, the first moto, it seemed like my lines were okay, but they weren't good enough to get me up there with Ricky. And yeah, he rides his track so well. So the second moto, I tried to change it a little bit, and it was stuff that wasn't working for me. And from the start, just going out there with a different attitude and different mindset to find different lines. I think I tightened up a little bit and allowed Ferry to come up and catch me. But I knew he was going to be tough at this race, and you know, you go out and do the best you can. You know, nothing we can do now but go to the last two. Both those tracks seem to be some of my favorite tracks. So looking forward to those two, and then of course heading over to Belgium.
Thanks, Kim.
Thank you.
The Suzuki rider excited about being on that motocross to Nathan and Kawasaki's finest